Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night wherever you are around the world. You are extremely welcome to the championship match of Pro Tour San Diego 2010 with Pro Tour historian Mr. Brian David Marshall sitting beside me, your host Rich Hagan. There you see Simon Görtzen from Germany, 25 years old from Aachen, and he has just created some history of his own by derailing history for Luis Scott Vargas in the semi-final, and he begins this championship best-of-5 battle with the classic jund opening of Savage Lands.
Savage Lands go.
Savage Lands go. And on the other side of the table, there you see Carl Boggemes of the United States, a classic transatlantic battle here in the finals. Raging Ravine, the man land from World Wake for Boggemes, who has looked icy cool throughout this top 8 and really enjoying his Pro Tour experience. Rootbound Crag is land number 2 for him. And we see Sprouting Thrynax out for number 3 for Görtzen.
Good.
Another Raging Ravine for Boggemes. And we're on to turn 4. In comes the Sprouting Thrynax. Görtzen takes the early lead. There you see the 2 coverage from around the world. Daisuke behind. For the Japanese coverage, MagicTheGathering.com, you can just see the curly head of Josh Bennett there, bringing you the text coverage on MagicTheGathering.com.
Canada's finest.
1, 2, 3 says Sprouting Thrynax number 2. Back we go to Boggemes. And he passes. No 4th land.
No black mana.
Not good. And maybe that's the price you pay for the manlands. They're red-green, but they're so good. So let's take a look at that hand. We've got, I look like a couple of...
11.
It looked like there was a Bloodbraid Elf there that just decided not to. That seems unlikely. Oh, let's see what he does with this. He's gone in for 6, so 17 became 11. 1, 2, 3, 4. For Garrick Wildspeaker. Okay, where does he do with the number? You can see the 4 there. So I'm going to untap 2 land. And that is the end of game 1. Wow.
No 4th mana, no black mana for Kyle Boggemes.
That is pretty startling stuff.
Goes straight to game 2.
Now, on our way to game 2, there are a ton of events that have been going on around the building here. We took a little glimpse during the quarterfinals. Let's see if we can bring you some of the winners and some of the stuff they've been winning. There's some incredible prizes being given away this weekend through this festival of magic.
Right. If you're at home and you're thinking, oh, I can't go to a Pro Tour, you don't have to be qualified for the Pro Tour to come play Magic. There's a ton of events going on. There's artist signings. There's opportunities to meet people from Wizards of the Coast. There's an opportunity to watch the best players in the world play the game. But there's also an opportunity to play Magic yourself, whether it's in Magic Online events, whether it's in PTQs, whether it's in 8-man drafts, or to win a lot of very cool prizes. So, we started on Thursday where we had a last chance qualifier, which was won by 4 players, won the opportunity to compete in the Pro Tour. It's the absolute last chance you get to qualify for this event.
And it's real instant gratification, because you win your prize at 4:43 a.m. and you start playing at 8:43 a.m.
Right. Shady Badran, Sean Gregson. You may know Sean, actually, from Magic TV on Channel Fireball, which he co-hosts with Luis Scott Vargas.
All right, so the next down, the PTQ, not instant gratification, but a lot of anticipation. Chris Fennell will be joining us all the way from Orlando. He will be heading off to San Juan at PT stop number 2. Then we have the sealed deck. Now, this is a nice prize. I like this. I want to talk to William Chan because he won himself a 64-gig iPod Touch for playing sealed deck. That seems almost like cheating. Now, you know a bit about Adam Prozac, right? The Legacy guy?
Adam's just a solid, Pro Tour veteran, PTQ veteran who, plays just about any format you'll let him near. He won the Legacy event, and he got himself a nice set of dual lands for that effort.
2HG, that of course was the format last time at the Pro Tour here. Haley and Nagy won that. And then Todd Anderson, one of the main internet writers around Star City and so on. And of course,
U.S. national team member.
Absolutely. He did pretty okay at Worlds, and someone who really studies the game and wants to get better and works hard at his game. That, by the way, that little list is just Thursday and Friday. The prizes kept on coming through the weekend. We have already mentioned the $3,000 draft challenge.
And we had a PTQ on Saturday for San Juan. We had another 64 gig iPod Touch that was given away. We had foil sets of standard. We had Grand Prix trials. You can take a look right here in the public events. The San Juan qualifier was won by Ben Seck. Ben Seck's San Diegan by way of Australia.
Yeah. TBS. The Ben Seck.
Top 8 at Pro Tour Yokohama a number of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Great player, very popular. There were audible cheers sort of throughout the Gaslamp district as news of his win spread far and wide.
There really were. And you look down. The thing is, on Saturday, a lot of the pros, they come back and they just get straight stuck into public events. You see the standard tournament was won by Michal Hebke. My word, he got an awesome prize. This is the one I want. I want to mug him outside the building afterwards. He got foil sets of everything in standard.
Wow, that's a fantastic
So that's
prize.
the whole Alara block. That's Zendikar. That's Worldwake. That's M10.
He's going to have some nice looking decks come San Juan.
He really is. You better, Michal. You bring those foils, my friend. Then we have, you go down, Matt Sperling, of course, winning the Legacy. And right down the bottom there, a certain Hall of Famer, New York, NY, USA, Mr. Zvi Moshevitz. Awesome.
Yeah, Zvi's been playing the game for as long as you, just about as long as you could imagine.
And there you see the $3,000 draft challenge is heading down the stretch. They've been playing since 9 o'clock this morning. I remember the first one of those, the queue started around about 5:30 in the morning because it's capped at 128 players. I think it won't be long before we get sleeping bags for players getting ready for that particular event. But the players now are back here in the final with a very quick game one already behind us. Görtzen, exactly as he would have drawn it up, put you to 17 with a Sprouting Thrynax, put you to 11 with a pair of Thrynaxes.
Yeah, I just figured it was okay
on the there you see the players getting themselves ready for game two. No sign still of any nerves from Boggemes, and I think he passes the test. Yep, the man has stable hands right the way through the day.
Right, and you heard him saying, I thought that was an okay hand to keep on the draw. Not beating himself up over it. He's just, let's get on with it. Let's play some more Magic. So I can even this score.
And you can always learn from Magic whether you win or lose. But top tip, if you're a friend of someone and you're watching your friend play Magic and they lose, maybe wait more than 3 seconds to tell them why they're an idiot. Maybe wait till the car ride home. You've had a bite to eat. You've had a chance to digest everything and get a feel for what you could have done before you wade in with, man, I'd have so won that game if I were you. Yeah, but you were watching because you're not me. So here we go. 7 cards come down for both. Let's see if they keep.
See, Pro Tour extraordinaire, photographer extraordinaire Craig Gibson snapping a picture of us through the camera lens.
I wonder how many photos he's taken of the Pro Tour.
It's millions.
It actually could be, couldn't it? So away we go. With Rootbound Crag, both players keep 7. Strong opening hands, at least presentable for both. Raging Ravine for Görtzen. Now we're assuming that we're going to see some Goblin Ruin Blasters sometime in this match from Kyle. He will certainly be hoping so. Land number 2.
We may see one on turn 4.
Raging Ravine for Görtzen. Boggemes with 3.
Sprouting Thrynax. Your turn.
So is this 17-11 game going the other way? Let's find out. Görtzen chooses land number 3, make sure that it's an untapped, and it's a great Sable stack. I refuse to call it Trained Armadon.
Well, it's not.
No.
It's better than a Armadon.
Absolutely.
I think he was referring to the general shape of creatures.
Absolutely. And there is turn 4, Goblin Ruin Blaster.
That's you.
And away we go. No benefit to attacking. Most often the Goblin Ruin Blaster puts something in the bin and comes right on in sideways, but not this time. Putrid Leech for Görtzen. And of course, the last time we were in a Pro Tour final, we saw a Jund player, David Reitbau, being well and truly punished for his mana base by Andre Coimbra, the eventual world champion. Andre, not such a great weekend this time, 0-4 drop. But as he said, you know, I put all my wins in the right order last time. Oh,
getting a Goblin Rune Blaster off the Cascade. You can still pay the kicker cost. And that's what he does, and he gets another Raging Ravine, drops Simon down to 2 lands.
So now the question becomes whether Simon is going to be given time to recover. He has a Putrid Leech which can become 4/4. He has the protection from black Great Sable Stag. So, you know, he has a reasonable board position apart from the fact he just has the 2 land. And of course, Boggemes will be working his way up towards the 5 and 6 casting cost guys, the Siege Gang Commanders, the Broodmate Dragons. And there's a common thread there. They both bring more than themselves to the party. Görtzen draws. Did he get himself a 3rd land? Looks like he might have done. Looks like that might be a tri-land. Yes, there indeed it is. Summit lands go. Once again.
Alright.
Alright, you got another land. I've got another Rune Blaster. Alright, now we're getting to the point where we're ready to attack.
Cards? 3.
So this is the point where Görtzen would, in a perfect world, have something really handy in terms of removal. But as you said, that is not the path he's chosen to go down, particularly. So.
Okay. They take 7.
Phase 2 to activate Putrid Leech, and
Kyle
18,
says, and okay, 11.
Sure.
And
so no respond to Lightning Bolt. Yeah, that's a great shot through the camera. Wow.
Pass you. Draw.
And then we go back to Görtzen.
Another Great Sable Stag.
Go.
Simon's down to 11. We see the score just adjusted.
But another Great Sable Stag. Again, the board looks pretty good, but Blightning, that gets rid of 2 of the 4. Görtzen has a Broodmate Dragon.
How many cards do you have?
He has
3.
a Master of the Wild Hunt. 2 more.
Think about this. Okay.
Yeah, think about this. Good plan. I mean, he's a long way off the Broodmate Dragon. You would assume that that would go away, because, I mean, 3 more lands a lot.
I mean, a lot of players have been signing that card out in the mirror, because not only do you need to have the card in your hand on turn 6, but you need to have the mana in your hand on turn 6 to cast it. Becomes pretty troublesome with Lightning.
Yeah, in a way, there's a little conundrum for Jund in that one of the cards that it would love to have available is Tectonic Edge, but the mana base dictates that it really just can't squeeze it in.
So Master of the Wild Hunt for Simon.
And
he's had in his hand for some time. He just hasn't been able to climb up to 4 mana until now to play it.
And I guess the deal with the Ruin Blasters is that, in a sense, that like any LD plan, land destruction plan, if the LD doesn't work, they start to look pretty ordinary. You know, you look at that board of 2-1, 2-1, and 3-3 against Putrid Leech that can get bigger, pair of 3/3s with the Great Sable Stag, and then Master of the Wild Hunt, which is a killer card, and you start to think, yeah, it's starting to look like Görtzen is working his way out of all those Ruin Blasters. 8 to 20 behind, but with parity pretty much established.
Oh, break parity. Double Dragon.
Go.
No attack. I'll just wait to finish off in the air next turn.
Yep. Görtzen needs an answer
I have the balls, but
right now.
Oh, okay.
Feels like nobody actually owns any token cards. It's just this, they're like fruitcakes. They just sort of get passed around the whole entire Magic community based on what you need at any given moment.
360 wolves for you.
Yeah. Somebody, though, at draft night, somebody picks them all up with the rubbish. You know that there's a guy just somewhere, and there's a shoebox full of 15,000 of these things that he's just picked up week in, week out.
Okay, what do we got here from Görtzen? He's thinking about a Bloodbraid Elf. And here it comes.
Featuring Cascade of Hope.
Do we have an answer?
We have a Sprouting Thronax. Didn't think that flies. He has a land in hand.
Is he going to make him go through on tap attack?
What's that?
Well, you know, you made the Pro Tour final. Maybe you forget to attack occasionally. No. And there you go. One game. Oh, we are down to a best of 3. It is a traditional match now, although, of course, they will be sideboarding for all 3. So what we're going to do as we head for game 3 is we're going to take a look at the 2-player sideboards. And you've already seen Goblin Ruin Blaster from Kyle Boggemes, which was ultimately part of the reason he won that second game. So let's take a look at the 2 sideboards. For these 2 in this
probably the worst against your deck, though.
Which everyone comes prepared for, that everyone knew that there was going to be a substantial portion of the field. Maybe not quite as much as we actually saw. So you see both players flicking through their deck, seeing whether they want to make adjustments for game 3. There's the arena from on high. So, Boggemes on your left, Görtzen on your right. And Simon Görtzen, he has the 4 death mark. Pithing Needle to terminate, the Maelstrom Pulse, we saw Master of the Wild Hunt, and Quad Great Sable Stag. So plenty for him to bring in.
Yeah, and he seems to be mixing and matching as he's going along. We just saw him taking out Maelstrom Pulses, bringing in, it looked like, I believe, more Master of the Wild Hunts.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like he's putting his Blightnings back in. So I guess that's about being on the play? Is that part of it?
Absolutely.
Yep.
This matchup is certainly very much about the play. I'm curious if Kyle's going to leave his Rune Blasters in on the draw. It doesn't look like he's going to. Those are sort of a modification he's going to make when he's playing. He wants to do it while he's ahead on mana, and he goes 4 and sends his opponent back to 2.
Yeah. It is worth remembering, again, if you're a fairly new player and you're thinking about taking this down later in the week to replay the Pro Tour final, what BDM's talking about there, the idea that you can sideboard differently whether you are starting or not, because, of course, in the basic idea of 1 land a turn, 1 mana per turn, you get to do each step of the rung first. So Blightning on turn 3 for the player on the play, and then for Goblin Ruin Blaster, because kicked, that needs 4 mana, turn 4 on the draw, that's a long time after turn 3 on the play. There's a big gulf between going first and second. So you should always look at your sideboard and think, all right, I won that one, but now I'm on the draw. What just got worse for me? What can I bring back in?
And looking at Kyle Boggemes' sideboard, now that he's seen the Master of the Wild Hunt, it looks like he's reaching for death marks, because he really doesn't want that guy to stick around very long.
For sure.
Not sure if he probably put in a Mind Rot. Get a little bit extra on the discard. It looked like he may have even reached for a Duress, but I'm not certain.
Okay.
So I'll try to get a report from the floor. But yeah, both of these players are certainly going to mix and match. I mean, as you watch the Jund deck unfold, right? It's unfolding tap land after tap land after tap land. There's a very, very big difference being on the play and on the draw as to what you can do. So this is actually, I think, one of the most draw-sensitive sideboard decks in Standard. I think it's tremendously draw-dependent on how you approach your sideboard cards. I mean, it's almost like a 75-card deck in some respects. That you're going back and forth.
So we're going to take a look at Kyle Boggemes once again. Only 20. That's filthy. How can someone so young be so talented? It's not fair. 4th Pro Tour began at Friday Night Magic in 2001.
Well, you start playing when you're 11.
Yeah, that helps, yes. Yeah, as so many of us do. Craig Wesco was a 13-year-old when he first went down to his local store for F&M. Although, what wouldn't be F&M then? It's so long ago. But debut for Kyle. Charleston in 2006, the Team Pro Tour won by the Japanese Squad of Doom. I think Shadow Yasuoka was part of that team. Certainly Tomohiro Saito was part of that team. Tomohiro
Kaji.
Yeah, that's right. In Kajiharo 43 or something was their thoroughly exotic team name.
We mentioned earlier in the webcast, Kyle won a PTQ just this past Saturday for San Juan, playing Boom Bust Zoo. So he's playing a deck with Boom Bust. It's got Blood Moons. He doesn't play Path to Exile in the deck. Okay. This was one of the interesting innovations of the deck because they're playing because they're playing Blood Moon, he doesn't want his opponents getting basic lands off of their paths, so they play Temporal Isolation in their deck. So it was pretty interesting deck. He said he handled the PTQ field pretty easily. Could have spent the Saturday playing basketball, though. He could have easily spent the Saturday playing basketball, since he's now qualified for San Juan, now qualified for Amsterdam, now qualified for Worlds.
So if you're his PTQ final opponent watching this, don't you wish the Pro Tour had happened in reverse and he could have just yeah, it's all right, I'm fine.
Can he rescind?
Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, he doesn't worry. He gets free airfare.
That's right.
Right?
Now, we can confirm from Rashad Miller down on the floor, Kyle has indeed taken out all the Goblin Ruin Blasters. Deathmark's come in, the Mind Rock that you mentioned, Medium, has come in. So we'll see how this plays out, as we're now down to the best of 3. Raging Ravine faces Savage Landscape, and it's a Forest for turn 2 for Görtzen. Forest also for Boggemes. And is this Blightning on turn 3? No, it's Thrynax on turn 3. Get the damage underway, get a few more cards down. The Explore's still in for Kyle. And he looks at Garruk Wildspeaker. You see a Blightning there. There's a second Garruk, so a bit of redundancy going on there.
Not enough redundancy in the land department here. He's
I'll go to discard.
He's going to discard here.
Now, his only piece of good news is that Görtzen does not have Ruin Blasters available, so he knows he's safe from that, from his Savage Lands going to the bin.
17?
But nonetheless, Thrynax number 1, here's 3 mana again. Second Thrynax, this is a copy of game 1. 17 will go to 11. And it looks like, have we got a land? We do, and it's shipped away straight away. Boggemes goes to 16. He does not have enough mana for Garruk Wildspeaker. He has enough mana for Blightning, but much good will that do him at this stage, because it is all about getting the shield up. So let's see what else he has. That is much better news if you are a Kyle Boggemes fan. If you are looking for a US victory, the first for a couple of PTs, Andre Coimbra, of course, took Worlds back to Portugal with him in December. Brian Kibler in Austin, of course. Kazuya Midamura before that, Honolulu, and then back to Gabriel Nassif in Kyoto. They're the last 4 for you.
So Simon Görtzen's looking to bring a trophy home to Germany for the first time since Pro Tour Kobe.
That's right. Jan Moritz Merkel defeating Willie Adel in the final there, and Merkel was only 17 when he did that, one of the younger Pro Tour winners, and not quite as young as 15-year-old Julian Naughton when he won Worlds, but 17. Remy Fortier, another 17-year-old Pro Tour winner, Valencia 2007.
How many cards do you have?
It's one of my favourite lines in the John Burrow. It's like someone who draws when they're inexperienced, they draw a card and then say, how many cards you got?
I do have
some. Oh, did you draw Blightning? Did you?
So many tokens
really?
in this deck.
Right. So out comes some tokens. We saw a bunch of tokens last night. If you were here at the venue, we had a phenomenal event outside the booth here, which was what we call Massive Magic, and these were 2 giant-sized decks.
Just swap possession of the tokens. I'll control Magic your tokens.
Yeah, thanks. So we had guys and girls from Robot Chicken. If you're a fan of the online stuff that they came to play Massive Magic. We have a giant red zone on the floor of the arena here. And right now, those tokens, whether 3 foot tall or 4 inches tall, 5 inches tall, they're looking to stand pretty tall for Görtzen right now. Boggemes looking at trouble across the board. Sprouting Thrynax, yeah, okay. He's at 13. There are 9 pair of guys on the other side. The stag will come through.
6.
And we're going to see everything. So 5 men turn sideways for Görtzen.
Going to trade Thrynaxes. Going to bring up to 6 tokens for Görtzen. And 3 tokens for Kyle.
I have 20 wolves, but only 8 saproling.
We've run out of saproling.
Interesting. Alright.
It was interesting that talking to Zvi Moshevitz, he was talking about
went to
the element of my fires that went into the Mandag, and that, of course, was sort of pushed over the edge with Saprolings back in the day.
Lightning.
Yeah, there's Lightning. This is probably the busiest table position we've seen all day.
3?
Yeah.
Off the scoop.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've had enough. I can't cope with all these permanents. Let's no. So Simon Görtzen leads by 2 games to 1, and he, little raised eyebrow to himself, is 1 game away. Did you see that little exhalation of breath? Ooh, boy, I am 2-1 up, and I am 1 game away from $40,000.
Do you think his wife Claudia is as calm at home right now?
No, not in any way. No. Claudia is bouncing up and down in a room somewhere in a very, very excited fashion.
It's got to be pretty interesting having a spouse who
so good.
understands Magic that well.
Yeah.
Because you go home and let's say you finish second,
Yep.
you go home and you're like, oh, honey, I played the best I could, but I didn't get it. She could actually say, no, you didn't. I saw you did this, this, and this, and you had a rules infraction here.
Yeah. What was that blinding in Game 3 about? Shame on you. Dinner's in the dog. All right. Well, there are 8 level 8 pros in the world of Magic right now. They are the top level, and by winning 25 points here, one of these 2 will automatically become a fully fledged pro at level 4 on 20 points. Here are the level 8s and how they did. This was through the Swiss. Luis Scott Vargas, of course, was the number 1 seed. He went out in the semi-finals, getting him 16 pro points. Gabriel Nassif, the winner of the first Pro Tour last year at Pro Tour Kyoto, 21st, top 32 also for Martin User. So they get 6 points apiece.
Must be amazing to be Martin Juzzi. You get a top 32 finish, and it's disappointing.
Yeah. I think it probably is pretty amazing to be Martin User, just a truly phenomenally consistent player. Shuhei Nakamura, not the highest placed Nakamura, remember that's level 4 Hajime, also from Japan, but 41st for him, 5 points. Also Katsuhiro Mori Shukamura, by the way, in the top 64. Then we go down to a disappointing, I guess, Yuya Watanabe. He was one of my picks in the Booth Challenge, down on 4 points. Also Tomoharu Saito in that 65 down to 100. Kazuya Midamura, the winner of Honolulu last year. And then the man with the biggest name in Magic, Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa of Brazil, in 94th place. And I know he was very disappointed because he felt he was in great position, as you said, part of the Channel Fireball squad with LSV and Boss Naya. And the draft just really didn't all come together for Palan. He cut a disappointed figure down the stretch.
Yeah, there were a lot of players who we saw have great constructed performances. Patrick Chapin among them, and Paulo, who were derailed in limited. It's part of the challenges of these split format pro tours is that you need to, it's great. You go out, you break the format, but you also need to be on top of the draft.
Interesting how important Grand Prix are. Tomoharu Saito, you see there, finishing 82nd here. That's good enough for 4 points. Combine that with a quarterfinal slot at Oakland, where we were last weekend. That takes you to 9, and it turns out that's more than you get for all but the top 8 here. So only those 8 people will have done better across the first 9 days of the pro season than Tomoharu Saito.
Yeah, no surprise seeing Tomoharu Saito use Grand Prix to keep himself right in the mix for the Player of the Year race even at this earliest stage of the game.
Yeah, and he is targeting it in a very big way. He was very, very straight with people all weekend at Oakland. Yep, I'm here to try and become Pro Player of the Year. And that's something you need, apart from anything else, because you need a diary and you need an airline and a friendly travel agent to sort out your schedule
I gotta say,
for the year.
Also, something about this class of level 8s that's right here, this is something we've never really seen before. We have 2 players who are level 8, will be, expecting to continue to do great things all season. Gabriel Nassif, Tomoharu Saito, who are both on the ballot for this year's Hall of Fame class.
Yeah, there's a pretty exciting bunch, isn't there? And there's a question kind of at the end. You look at the players who have been close in some years. You think of someone like Bram Snepvangers, who made top 8 at Worlds. He's got 300 lifetime pro points. The only player at 300 who is not a Hall of Famer. And you wonder whether he will get in this year, because there is a really tough competition, and the slots are filling up, if you like.
He's been on the ballot for some time and has not gotten in. The same is true of Tsuyoshi Ikeda, and the same is true of Brian Kibler. So those are 3 players who are all sort of, I think people sort of partition off their ballots in some way. They're like, okay, these are the people new to the ballot. These are some people who are trying to catch up. And you don't have a lot of catch-up votes.
No.
So, and you have to think Kibler is in the lead on this one right now. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I think San Juan will all take place before all the ballots are turned in, and those guys can make a decision. We see Kyle Boggemes mulliganing.
Yeah, Brian Kibler, who is currently level 7, so not on that caption. He's one of just 3 level 7s, along with Tsuyoshi Ikeda, if memory serves. There's one other level 7. That's right, very good. Brian was talking about maybe parleying his level 7, because there are appearance fees, that he would probably go to maybe these Asian Grand Prix that are coming right up. And I know you're planning to go to an Asian GP this year.
All right, well, I'm going to be in Yokohama in the middle of March.
Yep, so that's going to be pretty exciting as we see the next stage.
What's that?
Getting in a few days early, going to go see a baseball game. We did a couple stadium tours. Baseball hasn't started here yet, but we did a couple stadium tours on our California trip. I'm going to go see the Bay Stars. I've seen them before. I'm going to see them again this time.
Okay, now here's an open invitation. Let's see how many we can get to do this. If you are going to be in the United States of America and you are playing in Grand Prix Washington DC just before going on to Pro Tour San Juan, I can tell you that the entire webcast booth team, that's BDM and I, will be going. All of us will be going to see the Washington Nationals against the Baltimore Orioles 7 on the Friday, the night before the GP. Oh wait, we can't. We're playing Super F&M.
I'll keep it.
Oh well. It was a nice idea.
I might go to the ball game.
So here we go with Game 4. Görtzen on the verge of history. Pro Tour 77 began in New York.
See a duress. Look at Maelstrom Pulse.
Bloodbraid Elf. Land.
That's the only thing we can take.
A couple of creatures, Master of the Wild Hunt, Great Sable Stag, and away goes Maelstrom Pulse. This is the game
I discarded the
Boggemes has to win.
Kyle needs to win this game to force a game 5.
Yep.
You can go.
You can go. I've written everything down now. Always a good plan, by the way. When you duress someone, you get to see their hand. Write it down. Don't just remember it. Write it down so you can use your eyes. 1, 2, 3. Straddling Thrynax. And it would not surprise me if we see 1, 2, 3 Straddling Thrynax right back the other way. 1, 2, 3.
Great Sable Stag.
Okay.
Trumps the Sprouting Thrynax.
Indeed it does. Protection from you. Lightning. So 5 cards will go down to 3. And Görtzen already looking quite carefully at what he's going to try and keep.
Sounds like we've got at least one Florida player online for the baseball game.
Excellent.
Just got a text from Brennan in Tampa who says Orioles for the win.
Orioles for the win, that seems unlikely. Well, actually, they are playing the Nationals, so maybe. Görtzen is still trying to decide what he needs to keep and what he needs to lose. The trouble is for Görtzen in particular, because he knows that there are Goblin Ruin Blasters on the other side and that Boggemes is only 1 away, the idea of just getting rid of that mountain that you see on the right of your screen, that is problematic because just risking getting rid of a 4th land. You may never see a 4th land. And he has in fact kept that mountain in hand. So,
to Bloodbraid Elf?
Yep.
Oh, there's
no,
right
Master.
to Master of the Wild Hunt.
Once again with the Renegade Master.
Lightning you down to nothing.
So I will discard my Maelstrom Pulse.
Bolt your master.
Oh, that was a great turn for Kyle. Now, admittedly, the board is still at parity, but nonetheless.
No, sort of.
Yeah. So Ravine
Does not attack with the Great Sable Stag.
goes up to 4, and is this going to be one of those things where I make 3 guys and then I put it in the way for the next 3 turns, and eventually you have a 7/7 and then I terminate it?
Eventually I draw Goblin Ruin Blaster or Terminate. Yeah.
Block with Thronax.
Yeah.
Well, Thronax wasn't attacking, and as you said earlier.
So 2 cards only for Boggemes. Now just 1 as he lays land number 4. Activates his own red-green Raging Ravine. If you weren't sure when Worldwake came out that these lands were good, I trust you are now, as you have watched them get very, very big and powerful.
Neither player wants to be caught holding cards.
No. And the decks kind of help that because there's plenty of sorceries and creatures going on. There aren't a lot of I'd like to hold this instant back. There's bolts and terminates, of course, but... Two-man lands for Görtzen. 1 for Boggemes. Counters on each side. Another Thrynax comes out for Boggemes, so
we're playing off the top.
He's putting up a decent fight here. Now, if this was right by Coimbra, we would now see all kinds of nonsense coming off the top of the deck. Great Sable Stack, perfectly presentable off the top, number 1 for Görtzen. That will keep Porcupine Head at home. Bloodbraid, arguably a better top deck. Another Bloodbraid goes by.
Mine right, yeah.
Mine right, you.
People always do that.
Want to cut the cascade.
That's what we were talking about just now. Like these guys, you know, you're conditioned when you start playing Magic. People tell you, well, you know, if you don't need that land, maybe you want to hold it. Maybe you want to
Tech phase.
You know,
everybody.
there's not a point here. Simon's at 10, and
he's gone with
Kyle's
everyone.
going to press the advantage.
So Görtzen, who is down at 10,
So you go to 5.
will take
Loses
5,
1 stag.
Your turn.
Kyle loses 1 token.
but chose not to block the Thrynax that turn.
I just want to give him 3 more.
That's right.
Okay.
So that is a nice top deck for Görtzen. Garrett costs too much, lands cost too little, cost too much, and now just the right amount for Putrid Leech. However, he is at 5, so it's a pretty good bet that a lot of the time that is going to be a 2-2 rather than a 4-4. Doesn't have a lot of room to maneuver to make that big. Looks like it may have been a Thrynax for Boggemes.
Trying to decide, do I want to use my mana on my spell? Or do I want to activate this land?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty well balanced in that you do basically time walk yourself, don't you, when you go, well, here's 4, I'll activate it, oh, you've terminated it, yours. But, animate, and let's go to the red zone once again. Boggemes trying to get it done and force a Game 5, which would be the first Game 5 of today's top 8, and the first of this Pro Tour year. Görtzen won both his quarter and semi, 3-1. Kyle 3-0 in the quarters against Ikawa, and then 3-1 over the White Winnie of Wesco.
Görtzen's trying to figure out his best possible blocking. Decides he does want to block the sprouting Threnax. He gets to do it for free.
Okay.
He only takes one.
Guess I'm gonna get this and then 2 more. Your turn.
So 5 men face 2 men currently in favour of Boggemes, with Görtzen at 4. He has 6 mana. Broodmate Dragon wouldn't have been bad to find on the top.
Not at all.
But I do not believe that's what he has.
No, looks like Putrid Leech.
Yep, green and black is what he's tapped, and it is indeed Putrid Leech. I mean, better than a blank, but no Broodmate, that is for sure. Baneslayer Angel, a card that we didn't really see much of in the top 8. We saw one copy come down on camera, and it promptly met Oblivion Ring that we knew was there, and that was all we saw of a Baneslayer in the top 8 this time around.
Kyle sizing up his attack. He still, again, could be playing a Sprouting Threnax here, or he can attack with all 4 tokens and 1 Raging Ravine, which will, I think, be a 6/6 at this point. It's up off camera.
There's Görtzen. Are you looking at the face of the first Pro Tour champion of 2010? Probably not for a little while at least, because he still has 20 damage to do.
Yep, there comes Sprouting Threnax, yep.
Boggemes is looking to deal just 4. We have been in top deck magic mode for a while. Here, as you see, the spread of the table of the championship battle.
You go.
Oh, I'm just going to pass the turn.
19.
So now Görtzen does have a card in hand that Carl has to think about, or possibly blightening away, as the Austin champion Brian Kibler comes to the front of the auditorium. BK right next to BK. Brian Kowal. Something you often notice at Pro Tour qualifiers, you will see the best players in that environment standing around watching the top 8. They don't necessarily go off and just play their own games. They come and watch what is going to happen, because it's where they want to be and it's where they can learn. And you see that here at the Pro Tour. As the day wears on, you find more and more pros coming to watch the top 8 unfold.
And of course they're at the PTQs in the first place because, well, people are playing Magic.
Indeed.
Cheering on their friends, getting into a little draft,
getting ready for a 400-mile drive home, where you talk and build decks all the way.
Attack with everybody, including the land.
Okay.
One card aside, 2-1 Görtzen. 6 creatures in the red zone for Boggemes.
He has to block both the large guys just to stay alive. He would like to figure out some way to not kill that Threnax.
Yep. Such an irritating card. It's strange the cards that players mind losing to or not. It's like Cascade, it's a mechanic, so that's fine, you don't mind losing to Cascade, that's what Cascade does. Sprouting Threnax doesn't even have a mechanic, it just does unkind things. No keyword for it, just guys.
So now we have a Raging Ravine on Görtzen's side of the board. He can activate that. and use that as part of his blockers.
Yep. And one has a counter on it.
Yep, but he's doing it with the 3. He double blocks.
Okay. So you're going to 1?
Double blocks the land.
And Carl says sure, so you're on
Result
1.
damage. Kill both of them.
Kill everything in the known universe.
2 are dead. Turn axe, I get 3 saplings.
And at 1, the clock is ticking because Kyle has lightning bolts.
Not sure what Simon. I guess he could get a Maelstrom Pulse.
For all the
Those
tokens. But Savage Lands
Passing
go.
turn back is
Yeah.
it's pretty much a tell that you don't have Maelstrom Pulse.
Yeah, because unless he thinks it's instant, of course. So Boggemes says, in. You're at 1. We are going to go to a championship decider here at Pro Tour San Diego. 413 players began this event. 405 were done by Saturday night. 8 came in. Now we have 4 games of the final have gone, and we are down to a decider.
In Putrid Leech, in Deathmark, out Ruin Blasters.
Yep.
And probably out Duress, I would guess.
So that's for Boggemes. Now Görtzen is on the play in the decider. If he had Goblin Ruin Blasters, and I bet he wished he'd had them now, you would think he would be a favourite. He could go turn 3 Blightning, that's how he'd draw it up. A turn 3 Blightning, a turn 4 Goblin Ruin Blaster kicked, and you would feel you were in pretty decent shape. He does not have the Ruin Blasters in main or board, which means that edge of going first is perhaps not as significant as it would have been if it had been Kyle on the play.
Yep, it looks like exactly what he cited out there.
So, because it is my moral duty to ask you this, BDM, 2 games all in the final, who do you take?
I've been so impressed with both of these players.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go with Simon.
Okay, he is on the play. Well, I agree.
That has nothing to do with it, I swear.
Really? Yeah. And if he had Ruin Blasters, he'd be like Simon.
Well, if he had Ruin Blasters, I'd slam it. Yeah.
And you can see there in the centre of your screen that Kyle is just checking the deck list again. You're allowed to do that. You can have your notes. That's the way we do things here now. It's not just a test of memory as you try and think, what did I decide the day before yesterday I was going to do for Game 5 of the Pro Tour final? I don't think many people draw up sideboard plans for Game 5 of the final. So Maelstrom Pulse is gone from Simon Görtzen. It appears he has gone back to the Lightning plan. He wants to disrupt the hand on turn 3. That is what he would like to do and get pressure down. Remember, the 2 games that he's won have basically involved Sprouting Phynax on turn 3, a second one following right up, and that has been pretty much game and set. If he gets as far as game and set this time, it will be game, set, match and championship. $40,000 on the line.
A place in Pro Tour history.
Yep. A lead in the Player of the Year race, needless to say.
Neither of these guys are rookies.
No, that's right. They've been around. Matt Nass came in with high hopes of building on his 10 points from GP Oakland, and he did okay. You know, he didn't disgrace himself by any means, because of course this was his Pro Tour debut. He won a Magic Online qualifier. Terrific story, BDM. The way he actually got here in the first place.
Oh yeah, he was playing in a Magic Online qualifier. He was disconnected at the start of the top 8 draft.
That's after you've been playing like for 10 hours to get there.
This is his 10th PTQ of the season, 6 in real life and 4 online. He gets disconnected from the draft and gets sort of auto picks for the first 10 picks of the draft. He gets Trusty Machete, he gets 3 red cards, he figures. Maybe I signaled that I was drafting red.
Maybe.
So he forces mono red the rest of the way, and despite having a deck with 9 creatures and 3 Slaughter Cries, he earned his invite to Pro Tour San Diego. He came into Oakland, really focused on Standard, not thinking about too much about Extended, went to an old standby deck, Elves, and he took an early lead in the Player of the Year race, early lead in the Rookie of the Year race. Both of those leads have evaporated. Niels from Belgium.
Yep.
He's obviously going to be our Rookie of the Year leader right now. This was his first Pro Tour. He's going to pick up 12 points for his...
so he'll be tied with Nas, because Nas gets 2.
And Nas gets 2 points here. Yeah, so we do have a tie.
Good luck. This is it.
Comes down to this.
Well, let's see who's going to take the lead in the Player of the Year race.
25 points, $40,000. Put yourself in this position if you're at home. These guys have been playing for a decade. And now those 7 cards in those red sleeves for Görtzen and those 7 cards in those blue sleeves for Boggemes have history written on them for one of them. Pretty decent consolation prize for number 2, it's fair to say. But neither of these players are thinking about money. They're thinking about winning one game of Magic.
$40,000. You probably paid a little heed.
Yeah, okay.
Go.
Summit for Görtzen. He will hope to be at the summit in just a few minutes' time. Savage Lands from Boggemes.
Not a very chatty finals from either of these players.
No, but certainly
They're
cordial.
Oh, absolutely. They've talked a lot in between games, but they just get right down to business.
Putrid Leech turn 2. And good to see that both players managed to start with 7.
Future.
Pass the turn. Is this one of those classic Putrid Leech, I'll pump, respond lightning bolt moments?
I don't think you pump very often in this.
No, you learn.
No, I'll terminate it.
I'm just going to kill it anyway.
Yeah, I know you're not going to. You're never going to pump it. I'm just going to take it
With
out.
Rhinax turn 3, which makes the Terminate all the more important because a Putrid Leech into Sprouting Rhinax would have represented pretty significant early pressure. From the heavens,
How many cards do you have in hand?
you get to look down on the last game of San Diego 2010.
I never get tired of that boom shot.
No, never. It is never a boom bust.
Great Sable Stag.
And there's a great Sable Stag from Kyle. We haven't seen that show up for him yet.
Indeed, we've not. No, it's been very much a Görtzen card today. Looks to me like he has quite a lot of burn in his hand there, Görtzen. On the left of his hand, seems to me that he has a lot of removal sitting there. And he is certainly going to put one lightning bolt in the way of the Great Sable Stag, and then attack with the Sprouting Thrinax, putting Boggemes to 16. 2 more mana. Is this another Putrid Leech?
It's a Rampant Growth. Yes.
Yep, there we go. Nice alternate art version.
Textless.
Yep.
Player rewards.
Play Magic, get free cool stuff. Seems like quite a reasonable message.
Yeah, people are wondering how you get those. They send you those in the mail just for playing Magic and providing them your address.
Yeah. Do all Magic players have addresses? I suppose they do. You sometimes look at the arena at 4 o'clock in the Pro Tour morning and you wonder. But here we are with Boggemes passing the turn again. Very passive here in the decider. But it looks like he has plenty of options in hand. The Thrinax comes in.
Yeah, 13.
Just 13. 19 to 13 in favour of the German. Looking to join Merkel. And of course the likes of Kai, Dirk and Marco. That is Buddha, Bloom and Babarovsky. Phoenix Foundation.
Daniel Zink.
Yep.
Bituminous Blast.
Hey, we have not seen Bituminous Blast thus far.
5 into 4.
That's good.
4 into 3. Take that. Bituminous Blast into Bloodbraid Elf, into Sprouting Thrinax. That's why you play Bituminous Blast. So when it really matters, you can do things like that. 5, 4, 3.
I don't believe either of the other Jund decks in this top 8 were playing Bituminous Blast. Certainly not playing it. And Kyle's the only one who had that, I believe.
Yep.
Oh no, we had Bituminous Blast in a Cow's deck.
Okay.
Also.
it is the one bituminous blast out of the sideboard.
Well, he certainly made the most of it there.
Yeah.
It was a real swing in board position.
Was it ever? Bloodbraid Elf and Sprouting Thrynax faces Sprouting Thrynax. We have still yet to see Lava Claw reaches for Görtzen as a man land. It's been a land, pretty good one. And the Bloodbraid Elf goes away with another lightning bolt. Seattleian John Locks takes a front row seat. He was in his second Pro Tour here. Joined us first on the Pro Tour at Honolulu, and chatting to him on Thursday night, he said, yep, came to number 2. It was every bit as exciting as number 1. In.
Just him?
All right, Judge, break out the tokens.
3v3. And now 7v3. Siege Gang Commander. Wrecking dreams for the best part of a decade.
What's up?
There are no Day of Judgments here. There are, however, Maelstrom Pulses.
Garrick.
Ooh. Garrick Wildspeaker.
Make a token.
Yep. So we've got 3 3s and 2 2s and 1 1s. All on board.
Bolt Siege Gang.
Bolt the Siege Gang before you can do anything cheeky with the goblins. And then lay a land. Pretty big turn again for Boggemes. He's had a couple now. Cards in each hand, and I suspect though, you got 2 cards. How about none? I think is what's about to happen here. Let's see. Görtzen is holding lightning bolt. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of the beast.
Attack you.
And I'm going to attack you with everything. So he's happy to leave Garrett right there.
1 on each goblin token.
1 on each goblin token.
10? Yep.
Now, talking to LSV in between matches, he was talking about how
there's the Blightning.
He hates to leave Planeswalkers in against John.
What is it?
Because Blightning is just an opportunity to get 3 cards.
Yeah.
You get the Planeswalker and you get the 2 cards in hand.
So here we go. A land, it's a man land for Boggemes. Görtzen has the only creatures in play right now. He makes a man land, activates Lava Claw reaches, pump, in.
How much is it?
3, 4, 5, 6.
3, 4, 5, 6. Boggemes is at 4 in the Pro Tour San Diego Championship match. No, but that is it! Simon Görtzen is your Pro Tour San Diego champion for 2010, and it looks like he just won a round of Friday Night Magic. It's just, oh, that is incredible. Under the pressure, those two, it was a pleasure. I'm sure it was. It was 40,000 pleasures. There you see it on your screen. Simon Görtzen from Aachen, Germany, the 25-year-old, is your Pro Tour San Diego champion for 2010. Epic.
Congratulations, Claudia. Your husband's bringing you home a new cup to serve morning coffee in.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty nice celebration. Wow. And a word too for Kyle. I mean, he played fantastically all day today. Again, faced the pressure admirably. Barely a misstep. The 2 players just sitting there, quietly talking to each other. Again, it's just like a friendly game across the kitchen table.
Yeah, very, very even-handed. You see this in so many of the better players.
Yes.
They don't get too low on their losses. They don't get too high on their wins. You're certainly seeing that from, an ebullient Simon Görtzen.
Lightning won the Pro Tour.
Lightning won the Pro Tour. How about that? Congratulations. Nice match.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, and that is one of the reasons that Louis Scott Vargas is such a great pro, because the downs do not get him down and the ups do not get him too excited. Just absolutely tremendous player. That was the story we thought we might be getting when we came in here today. BDM, take us through the story of the first Pro Tour Sunday of 2010.
I mean, the story was all about Louis Scott Vargas. We watched him get to 12-0, pretty much lock up a seat at this Sunday, headliner, and he could have easily drawn in. He could have, sort of passed around his favors a little bit and, let some people have an easy route into the top 8. But he said, no, I am gonna make you fight for it if you want to take away my perfect record. And he went 16-0 in the Swiss, surpassing Ryan Fuller's 14-0 record by 2 whole matches. He then swept through his quarterfinal match, but his was not the history that was going to be written today.
No, that belongs to Simon Görtzen, who defeated Niels Vian in the quarterfinal in a match that was disappointing for Niels. We talked about him with him afterwards, and he said, I had a great run. My Open the Vaults deck is a little man of light. He has gone away and is already planning to unveil it in 5 days' time for his next standard outing with a slightly different configuration, a little bit more mana maybe.
Right. His suggestion was cut 2 Jace, add 2 lands.
Yeah, so if you're going to take that, you're going to sleeve that up for play. That's direct from Niels on that one. So he lost 3-1. And then Boggemes Ikawa, that was the Jund Mirror. So we saw Boggemes sweep that 3-0. And then at the bottom match of the quarterfinals, Craig Wesco, 27 from the United States, playing this tricked out White Weenie. You can look at the deck tech with BDM, hear it direct from Craig on the website, how he put all that together, all the cool interactions that go on in that deck. It is a pretty sweet little deck if you like hitting with guys. It's a nice White Weenie, and he beat the other German in the top 8, Daniel Grafensteiner, by 3-1. So then we went and had a break for lunch. We came back. The date with Destiny was Görtzen against LSV in the semi-finals. And LSV, although he feared Görtzen, he certainly feared Niels more. That's fair to say.
Certainly. He didn't want to face, he wasn't happy with facing either player. Not his ideal matchup. But he said, I think that blue-white deck is going to give me a lot of problems. But, he really had some of the worst draws of his tournament, talking to his teammates in the 3 games that he lost against Simon. The mulligan to 5 in the decider, sometimes there just isn't a way to win. There is always a way to lose. You can always just arrange it so that you just manage not to win. There is not always that way to claim victory. And but if there is a way to claim it, Luis will find it.
That is certainly true. A true master, but he bowed out at the semi-final stage. So who would Görtzen face in the final? It was Boggemes against Wesco in the other semi. Wesco out of the gates like a bolt of lightning, or, well, more like, white lightning, because he just utterly monstered his way past Boggemes in Game 1. Boggemes' sum total of Game 1 was land, spreading, Thrynax, concede. So that was the story of Game 1, but that was as good as it got for Wesco. Boggemes came back, 1-1 on the back of Malakir Bloodwitch. What a huge beating that is against white decks. And then 2-1, 3-1, and that set up the final that we have just seen. And you said to me, off camera, just before we started, you said, this is going to go 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jund. It's very evenly matched. It was 2 players who seemed very evenly matched in sort of skill level, in demeanor, almost in experience. They both kicked around a fair amount. They've both been playing for a while. And you knew that this was gonna be a serve and volley kind of match.
Sure. So let's go back, take you even a little bit further back than today. We had 16 rounds over 2 days. Over 400 players came here on rating, on Pro Tour qualifier wins, on Magic Online qualifiers. The Pro Club level 6 and up auto qualified. You had pros level 4 and 5 getting their invite the night before, so they're allowed to play in Pro Tour qualifiers. And so we ended up a field of over 400, starting out with 5 rounds of standard. And the shape of standard was unclear coming in. All the testing teams were trying lots of different configurations, a lot of interesting decks. One thing that we talked about in our preview show, an extremely funky little item, which you might want to try at home, is Bizarre Trader into Immortal Coil.
Sure, Bizarre Trader into Immortal Coil, Bizarre Trader with Mark of Mutiny, Bizarre Trader, Abyssal Persecutor are all combos.
Yeah.
But, these guys here don't have time to play around with combos.
Yep.
They were down to business.
That's right. And in the end, the field for standard was round about 27% was Jund, the dominant force in standard from recent times. Then a whole bunch of things on sort of 10, 9, 8%. And I guess one of the big surprises was seeing the amount of mono red that people were prepared to risk in the face of Core Firewalker.
Well, we did not see a lot of it.
No.
But we did see Jeroen Canis play mono right into the top 8. It was kind of surprising. He disregarded Qualifier Walker. We actually saw him kill one with an unstable footing. He just attacked his guys into it, block with this, pay 1 mana, unstable footing. That was part of how Nassif lost his final match.
Indeed. If you are a fan of control decks, if you've been around the game for a long time and you like the idea of going island, yours, plains, yours, you might want to check out the deck of Patrick Chapin. Yeah. He went 8-1-1 in Standard with a real old-fashioned, good fun, I say no to things, blue-white control deck.
Blue-white, Brian Weissman style control deck.
Absolutely.
Mana acceleration, wrath effects, one inevitable creature with which you use to win. Card advantage. It's a great deck. I mean, to me, there's 2 clear decks. I mean, Jund obviously remains a clear favorite, but there's 2 clear decks to emerge from this tournament that we did not have coming in. The first is Boss Naya.
Yes.
Which is the deck designed by Tom Ross. We just saw LSV playing it to a semifinal finish in this tournament. He went 10-0 in Standard in the Swiss. He went 1-1 in the top 8 with the deck. It's obviously the dominant creature deck, but falling below the radar is Patrick Chapin's blue-white control. Mm-hmm. Because he went, I believe, 3-3 in drafts and ended up not making the top 8 with the deck. Maybe people won't be as aware of it. We did a deck tech with it. The deck is fabulous. It is really a new take on an old classic.
Okay. Now, that was Standard. That was the first 5 rounds. Then we went to 6 rounds of Draft. One of the nice benefits of being in this room and actually coming to these things, it turns out, if you got onto Magic Online here in the building, you could play World Wake in the draft setting. You can't buy that until Monday in Magic Online proper. But when you do get a chance to do that, BDM, give us some pointers on the draft format that is now Zendikar, World Wake. What did we learn from our 2 draft pods here?
Well, we learned that Mono Black can be terrific. We saw Luis Scott Vargas go 3-0 with it. You can watch, he went 3-0 on day 1 with it. It can also backfire if the cards aren't there for you. There's a lot of good removal spells. We saw Gabriel Nassif go 0-3 with it in the next draft viewer. We did an interview with Luis Scott Vargas about his World Wake draft. Draft 2, he went mono green. He saw, he started on an Eldrazi Monument. He saw a Grazing Gladeheart, went just committed to green right then and there, was wheeling green cards, gets the 3rd pack, and he's telling you that there's a card you need, and that is Arbor Elf. He had a small ally package. He says Grey Pelt Hunter is one of the best cards in the set. In the common slot, he said, but you know what? You need an Arbor Elf. You need to accelerate. Green is full of these 4 casting cost creatures like Timbermoor Larva, Grey Pelt Hunter, Leatherback Baloth at 3, that you can play on turn 2, that you can play on turn 3 now with an Arbor Elf. You also get an odd pseudo-vigilance with Vastwood Zendikar with an Arbor Elf on a forest. Green is a color that has definitely gone up in value for a lot of people in this 3rd pack.
Luis Scott Vargas on the 2nd draft pack, he gave a filthy look to Messiah Kitayama. He said he was mono green in that, and he said, you know what? They've stolen my Leatherback Baloth. I'm not happy at all with that. But so that was draft. Then we came back down the stretch, and we're very privileged. We get to sit there and we see players win and lose on the turn of a card down the stretch when the dreams are at their most potent. And I wanted to close our first booth together with a man who, it turns out, knew quite a bit about Magic. And he said this: far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in the grey twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. And that was Theodore Roosevelt, 1858 to 1919. And that is why we play this great game. The award ceremony is coming right up with the tournament manager, Mr. Scott Larrabee. But until we meet again, for Brian David Marshall, I am your host, Richard Hagan, saying bye.
Hello and welcome to the Pro Tour San Diego 2010 Awards Ceremony, Presenting the prizes today will be head judge Sheldon Menery. First, some prizes that were awarded earlier in the day. In fourth place, winning $13,000 from the United States, Craig Wesco. And in third place, winning $15,000 from the United States, Luis Scott Vargas. And now, presenting the Pro Tour San Diego 2010 finalist, winning $20,000 from the United States, Kyle Boggemes. And now, your Pro Tour San Diego 2010 champion, winning $40,000 from Germany, Simon Görtzen. Once again, a big hand for the champion, Pro Tour San Diego, Simon Görtzen. I'd like to thank the staff, the judges, and the players, and especially you, the Worldwide Magic community, for making Pro Tour San Diego such a great success. We'll see you next time, May 28th to 30th, in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Thank you and good night.